Hi, all. It's I, Superman, here to help you with the looming test that you have in the horizons. So, I, being the man of steel, is going to depart some iron into your math. I don't know. But, anyways, let's get started. Okay, so the first question is multiplying x plus 2 times x plus 5. Okay, so remember, there are a couple ways of doing this. I'm going to approach this using foiling. So what we're going to do is first, so you're going to do x times x, which is x squared. Then we're going to do outer, so x times 5 is 5x. And then we're going to do inner, so x times 2 is 2x. And then we conclude with last, so 2 times 5 is 10. Okay. Then we look at this and we say, hey, are there like terms? Well, you can definitely put 5x and 2x together, and that gives you 7x. Everything else you can just bring down. They're not like terms. And that's our answer. So the answer is D. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we're given x plus 9 times x minus 9. Now, what's going to happen here, again, we're just going to FOIL. But what you're going to notice is that when you FOIL this one out, right, what's going to happen? You're going to notice that in the middle two terms become what? The middle two terms match up. And if the middle two terms match up, that means they go away and leave me with x squared minus 81. So anytime, actually, that you have a situation, I'm writing a different problem, anytime that you notice that you have in the middle, you have a plus and minus, they have to be plus and minus, and the values, but the numbers or the values on the left and right hand side of the plus or minuses are the same, all you really have to do is square these two terms and put a minus sign between them. And that'll give you your answer. If you don't see it, FOIL, box method, whatever works best for you. Okay. All right, so more of the same. This one's a little tougher because the numbers aren't as pretty. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3 is 6x. Negative 11 times x is negative 11x. And then negative 11 times 3 is negative 33. Notice, foiling really just means everything gets multiplied by everything, okay? We're just doing it in a sort of structured format so that we don't have to worry about any sort of mistakes, repetition, etc. Okay, so again, the middle two terms, this is the nice thing about this, is that there's a pattern that develops. The middle two terms match up, and that should be the answer. Now, I'm not seeing that, so let's double check this. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3 is positive 6x. See, there's a mistake there. And then negative 11 times x is negative 11x, and then conclude with negative 11 times 3, which is negative 33. Okay, so that was my mistake. I had forgotten the sign. So you have to make sure that when you're working through this, that you don't make silly mistakes. Watch your sign. It's very easy to make silly mistakes. It's actually negative 5x. 6 minus 11 is negative 5. Watch your signs. Okay? And so this is going to be my answer. All right. Let's keep going. All right. So question 4. Okay, so 2x minus 2 times x minus 1. All right, more of the same. So we're going to distribute. This becomes 2x squared. Or multiply 2x times negative 1. Notice that as I explain this, I say we're going to distribute, we're going to FOIL. These are all actually synonyms for the same thing. They all mean the same thing, right? Negative 2 times negative 1, which is just you're going to multiply everything by everything, okay? Once again, you look at the middle. These two match up, so this gives me negative 4x, put the plus 2 and 2x squared. So 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. That's answer choice C. Keep it going. All right, so n plus 7 squared. So what are we going to do here? Well, because of the 2, we're going to put it into both, and we're going to get n squared plus 7 squared. To which you should be like, and you call yourself the man of steel. Yeah, why? You should be upset about this. How come? This is not correct. You do not do this. Please, no. This is the kryptonite of Superman's existence. Don't do this. Instead, it should be n plus 7 squared. When you square something, what does that mean? It means you multiply it by itself. So this is actually n plus 7 times n plus 7. And so now you do what you've been taught to do, which is n times n is n squared. What you do now is I really like that pink apparently, or magenta. You multiply by 7n. What you do now is you FOIL, so plus another 7n. What you do now is you distribute. These are all words saying the same thing, okay? Again, in the middle, they match up, so 14n. So this is n squared plus 14n plus 49, which is this one. Also, we did say that this is a special case, which says square the front, square the back, multiply these together times 2, and there's your answer. And this is being illustrated here, right? You doubled middle. So if you saw that, kudos to you, because that is definitely correct as well. That's a great way of solving this. But in any case, the answer to number 5 is D. Okay, number 6. So we talked about the shortcut. I'm going to use the shortcut here. W squared, 7 squared. Notice the back is always positive, but the middle is going to be, when I double 7w, it's going to be negative 7, so it's going to be negative 2. Negative 2 times 7, which is 14. So negative 14w, okay? Notice that this is almost the same process. The only difference between this process and this process is the signs. Because this one's positive, this becomes positive. Because this one's negative, this one's negative. The numbers actually match up too. It's just the letters and signs don't match up. Huh. Okay, number 7. So this is the one, if you decide to FOIL, that's perfectly fine. But what I advise you to do is to draw perfectly straight lines. No, I'm just kidding. What I advise you to do is this box method here with this. Because this box method helps you to stay super organized. Okay, so we're going to go x squared minus x plus 8. And then vertically we have x plus 5. It actually doesn't matter if you want to go 2 and then 3. You can do that as well. We usually go 3 and 2. Just a pattern that we follow from before. There's no actual preference. It's what makes you happy. Where they meet, that's where you multiply. So we're going to do x squared times x, which is x cubed. Negative x times x is negative x squared. 8 times x is 8x. X squared times 5 is 5x squared. 5 times negative x is negative 5x. 5 times 8 is 40. So did that quickly, but what did I actually just do? All I did was multiply where they meet. That's it. That's all I did. So run through that again. You may need to pause the video and watch it again to see me go through it again. That's all that I did. Now, the other aspect of this that I absolutely adore is that when you do it this way, diagonally, these tend to match up. So you already know x cubed doesn't have like terms, but 5x squared minus 1x squared is 4x squared. And then 8 minus 5 is 3. No, we cannot put these together because they are not like terms, right? So this is as far as this goes. And so the answer is going to be x cubed plus 4x squared plus 3x plus 40, which is answer choice C. Okay. All right. So let's do the next one. All right. So now when it says factor, and this is very important, you're doing the same process but in reverse, right? So the question you need to be asking yourself is what times what is the front term? So what times what is x squared? Well, that's easy. That's x times x. That's usually what it is. It's just the variable. The back is the more interesting one. So what times what is 30? Now, my advice to you when you do this, you're just going to pick numbers. Okay, first thing that pops into your head, write down. I'm going to try 6 and 5. And we've had some conversations about this. If you want to list the factors of 30, if you want to go 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, apparently 3s are lines, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't work, 5 and 6, and then once you get to 6, you're going to start to repeat, so you can stop. If you want to list them and then figure out what adds or subtracts to -1, that's fine. Don't change your game up if your game is working, okay? But if your game hasn't been working, then maybe you want to try my strategy, which is I just slap in a number. If it works, great. If it doesn't, pick another set of numbers and just keep working through, okay? So I actually, in my mind, I'm using 6 and 5 because I know they have to be pretty close to each other. Um, because when you add or you're going to have to subtract to get -1, right? So I knew I had to pick two values that are close, 6 and 5. There are the two values, and there you go. That's it. So also, this is this is a multiple choice test, so you can look at the answer choices and see. Notice that we have this term prime, and all prime means is that nothing works. So you may have something that doesn't work at all. So keep that in mind too as you work through these. All right, next one. X squared plus 4x minus 96. All right, so this is one definitely you want to use the answer choices to help yourself out. So you probably 12 and 8 is the one you want to use. So we're going to go x and x. Again, remember, I said the front is going to be x times x, right? And so we want positive 4, so you definitely want positive 12 and minus 8, because 12 minus 8 is 4. So remember, we want this and this. When we add them together or you combine them, you need to be getting this middle term, okay? So 12 minus 8 is 4. Cool. So it's going to be this one. All right. Next one, 63. Okay, so here's interesting because, again, if I want to be lazy, I know it has to be 9 and 7 or 63 and 1. So what's the problem here is that 9 minus 7 is 2, 63 minus 1 is 62. There's no way I can get to 1 with either of these. And so when this is the case, like this one, then the answer is prime. So this is, make sure you note this because you're going to have at least one of these that is prime. Okay, this one's very important. So 9x squared minus 9x minus 54. So when I was explaining these, we didn't talk too much about this fact, which is you actually always want to look and see, can I factor something out in common? Does 9, 9, and 54, are they all divisible by a value? And in this case, they really are. They're all divisible by 9. So I'm going to factor out a 9, and it's going to leave me with x squared minus x minus 6. So that is an important first step. If you can, it's called the factoring out the GCF. If you find a GCF, factor that out first and then solve the problem. So this is going to break down to x minus 3 times x plus 2, and then we have the 9 on the outside. In other words, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. All right, boom. There's our answer. Also, I want to make another comment here. I was noticing, at least in class, this is something that some people have issues with. When you're looking for the answer, you're looking for a negative 3 and a positive 2. So we're looking for a negative 3 and a positive 2. It doesn't matter, right, when you multiply. If you say 3 times 2 or 2 times 3, they're the same thing. So the quantities can be rearranged, right? So it doesn't matter. So be careful with that, though, because that's a common place that people make mistakes because you're rearranging the letters. Okay, so be very careful with that. Watch the signs. In fact, if it helps you to cross out the ones that don't work along with the ones that work, do it. Okay, don't make silly mistakes. So this one's more of the same. So 15x squared plus 32x plus 16. Don't get intimidated by the numbers. You're going to do the same thing. So we're looking at this and we're saying, hey, 15, 32, and 16. Can I factor some value out? So here it's not readily apparent what the GCF is. In other words, you can't sit there and say, oh, it's 15 because 32 doesn't go into 15. We can run through. Now, 15 is nice because factors of 15 are only 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. So 1 doesn't work. Well, I mean, 1 doesn't work. 1 always works, but that's not interesting. 3 works with 15, but it's not going to work with 32, right? 32 is not divisible by 3. 5 is not going to work, and 15 is not going to work. So what that means is that there's no common factor, which means I actually have to factor this. So this is what we most recently talked about. And what you want to do here, this is tough. What you want to do is you want to ask yourself, what times what is 5x squared? So I want you to notice something. This process and the process we did to solve, say, something like this is still the same. Here we said what times what is x squared? X and x. The only difference is here with 15x squared, we're asking yourself what times what is 15x squared, which is 5x and 3x. So that's what makes it more interesting. Then you go to the back side and you answer the same question. So what times what is 16? 4 and 4. Okay. Now what happens? Let's see. What happens is we get 5 times 4 is 20x and 4 times 3 is 12x. So the same issue emerges, which is, can I add or subtract 20 and 12 and get to the middle term? Can I get to 32? Well, yeah, if I add them, I'm going to get to 32. So there it is. So it's going to be 5x plus 4 and 3x plus 4. So plus plus. So now it's plus plus. This is it. And I would encourage you, because this is a matter of guessing and checking, I would encourage you to look at the answer choices and help that to guide what's the values that are going to work, right? You know it's either going to be 3 and 5 or 15 and 1, right? In the front. And the back, they're telling you the back, and the back is the harder part because 16 factors into a lot of factors. 16 could be 1 and 16, 2 and 8, right? 4 and 4. There's a lot more options with the back there. That's the harder one, but they're telling you it's got to be 4 and 4. So because this is the experiment here is guessing and checking, using the answer choice is a brilliant strategy to kind of help yourself out. Just don't fall in love with the answer choice. And so what I mean by that is sometimes when we look at answer choices, like I think it's this, there's just numbers kind of coalesce together in a way that makes you feel like, it's probably this one. And then you just choose it without doing anything. No, respect the process, do the process. Okay. 13. So more of the same. Notice 15, 4, and 4. You for sure can't take anything out of that. You can't factor out a common term. So let's write that out. So 15z squared plus 4z minus 4. Again, I'm going to start with 5z and 3z. This is just usually what the publishers tend to do, is pick the values that are closest together. This isn't something that actually occurs in reality. It's just publishers tend to pick the values that are close together. So I always start with that. So 5 and 3 and 2 and 2. I glance at the answer choices. I know it's going to be either that or there's going to be 15 and 1. So this is going to give me 10. This is going to give me 6. So 10z and 6z. It's funny if I'm dressed up as Superman, I guess I have maybe like a onesie on. All right, so 10 and 6. So with 10 and 6, can I get to 4? Well, absolutely if I subtract. Notice that I want a positive 4, so it has to be 10 minus 6, okay? So that means the 10 has to be positive and the 6 has to be negative, okay? Which is answer choice A. So there you go. So let's keep going. All right. So the next one is 20z squared minus 3z minus 9. Okay, once more. 20z squared minus 3z minus 9. I hope that it's very apparent that 20, the factors of 20 and the factors of 3 and 9, they're not going to match. The only thing that you could factor something out, the only thing you would be able to factor out is a 3. Because 3 is you always have to play with at minimum, the lowest number. And definitely 3 is not going to work. So, because 3 is not divisible. 3 doesn't go into 20. So, we got to factor it out. Again, I always pick the ones that are closest, so 5z and 4z. The back, I'm going to go with 3 and 3. We get 15 and 12. And the goal is to get to -3. So notice that if I make the 15 negative and the 12 positive, I do get to -3z. So we want the 15 to be negative, so that means this part here, 5 times 3, needs to be 5 times -3, and then the 12 can be 3 times 4. And there we go. So, all right, and that would be 5z plus 3, 4z minus 3. That's this one. So notice I like to put the first number the biggest, I guess, and they have a different system. I don't know. Let's keep going. Aha! So this one's very important because when you look at it, what do you notice that I've been trying to do on all the other ones? It hasn't worked, but I kept checking, right? I kept seeing if there's something that could factor out. And here, these are all divisible by 5. So I can put a 5 on the outside. And this leaves me with x squared minus x minus 6. Notice 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 30 divided by 5 is 6. And then we can factor this to x minus 3, x plus 2. And we have the 5 on the outside. Okay. Yeah. And so that's it. So minus 3 plus 2 minus 3 plus 2. Yeah, just be careful when you're choosing. It's really easy to choose the wrong answer choice, so be very careful. Okay, so in the spirit of factoring, we can see that here this is both divisible by 10. I think this is Mr. Anderson's way of giving you a good, easy problem. Actually, what he was doing is he was reviewing problems from before. So this was actually similar, very similar problems on your last test, not your flip grid, but your test. Okay, so again, here we're going to factor out common terms. So the theme is this. When you first see these problems and you're factoring, always try to take out a GCF, right? And then if you can do some more factoring, go ahead and do some more factoring. So here, we're just taking out a GCF. So we're looking at 9, 21, and 27, saying, what's the most I can take out? So you start with the 9 and say, hey, are they all divisible by 9? Well, 21 divided by 9 is not going to work. So you go to the next factor of 9. So 9 is, what are the other factors of 9 besides 9 and 1? It's 3 and 3, right? So 3 would be the next smallest. So can we factor out a 3? Well, 9, 21, 27 are all divisible by 3, so yes. So we can definitely take out a 3. Let me rewrite this. 9m to the 8th minus 21m to the 6th minus 27m to the 4th. And we can definitely divide through by 3. Can we take out m's? Well, sure, we can take out m to the 4th. So here's the other point that's real important, is when we say how many m's can we take out, the maximum amount of m's is the lowest exponent value, right? Because the most you can take out is, you can only take out as many as the lowest value, right? I can't take out m to the 5th if you only have m to the 4th, right? If I only have 4 m's, I can't take out 5 m's. So the most we can take out is the lowest, which is m to the 4th. And so that's it. So we got 3m to the 4th on the outside. And then what are we going to be left with? Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. When we divide, we subtract exponents if the bases are the same. So 8 minus 4 is 4. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 6 minus 4 is 2. And the back is just 9, right? The truth is that once you realize you have 3m to the 4th on the outside, it's got to be that one. All right. We're just zipping through this. Next one. 25m squared minus 13m cubed. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. Now, what you can notice, and this is why it's important to play with math and play with values, and I hope that you have slowly gravitated away from the calculator, in the sense that when you do this, you see 13 enough, you realize 13 is prime. So I can't factor out any numbers. So that like instantly tells me that those two have to be wrong because you can't take out a 2. You can't take out a, was that a 5? You can't, right? Because you got to factor 13 out, and 13's prime, so that's not going to work. So what can you take out? Well, can you take out a variable? Well, one's m, the other one's r, so you can't even take out a variable. So this is wrong too. The only thing that makes sense is D. So maybe looks tough initially because of all the letters, but actually the different letters help you realize it's no factor. Okay, let's keep going. This is just a review. So when you multiply, right, you just multiply the values together. So 4 times 3 is 12. And when you do m squared times m squared, we know that when we multiply, when the bases are the same, we add the exponents. So this is 2 plus 2, which is, I'm going to write it this way, which is m to the 4th. Superman likes puns. Okay, last one. So what we're doing here is the reverse of what we've been doing here, right? So in this one, we said what do they have in common? We factored it out. Now we're gonna distribute back in those values. So we're gonna do negative 6x to the 7 times 10x to the 6. So negative 6 times 10 is negative 60. 7 plus 6 is 13. So you're seeing the effects of making sure you really do understand these ideas, right? We just talked about when you multiply two numbers with the same base, you add the exponents. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, as I do each of these, I'm going to cross out answer choices. So that one has to be wrong. Everything else is correct so far. I'm going to do the next one. So now we're going to do negative 6 times negative 8. Watch those signs. Negative times negative is a positive. 6 times 8 is 48. Again, we add the exponent. 7 plus 5 is 12. So positive 48x to the 12th. That means that that's going to go. I'm going to cross them completely out so I don't make silly mistakes. So we're down to 2. Negative 6 times 8 is negative 48. X to the 7th, you got nothing else there, so negative x to the 7th. That's answer choice A. All right, well, there you have it. Hopefully, the son of Krypton was able to help you guys prepare for your test. Good luck. Please feel free to go back over these. Practice makes perfect. So I will see you when I see you. Bye-bye for now.